All right. This is game 5, round 2 matchup between USA and the Czech Republic. USA is currently leading 3-1. We've got Reyes for Czech Republic playing Night's Watch Conclave. Valor Morgulis is the reset. Mira playing Wars to Come. Couple resets there. You know, Doran's game, Wars to Come deck. You know the drill. Yeah. We are joined by Tom McKenzie in the chat.
Watch Conclave deck is where it gets really interesting. It's using Big Wall and a lot of steel stuff, so that's going to be mainly the route it's going to do is stealing the tools your opponent would normally be using for your own means. But he's also running stuff like a couple copies of Mag the Mighty who can steal their stuff and then kill it off and then just go and steal some more. His restricted card in this case would be Yorin, so even more stealing. And then he also is running 3x Mutiny at Craster's Keep, which allows him to sacrifice his highest printing cost character, or if there's a tie, he chooses among them, and then he can discard an opponent's character from play. So it's going to be a lot of attrition, is what this deck's going to be built on. So for the setups, it's a bit interesting. We got 2 reducers in Dorn on Mira's side, and then Reyes has got normally you don't want to see him on setup, but Archmaester Marwyn, and he's really what's given the fuel to Conclave because he essentially turns the Conclave under your agenda into a second hand that you're able to then play a card from. He's able to do it once per phase, but normally you like being able to play him out because reaction lets you put 2 more cards under the agenda, which gives you even more options. But openings, we get the classic At the Gates against At the Gates. They both grab
The
Gates
super
of the Moon.
exciting Gates of the Moon open. Bullshit.
Yeah, so Econ is in place, and Race also has King's Road as well to really be able to start getting bodies down on the board and being able to get some work going.
This is not a great setup for Mira, is it?
Having Dorn is definitely like good to have. Like the character base outside of that's not great, and not having Econ set up isn't wonderful. But the Martel Wars deck doesn't care about going fast, and the Nightfall Conclave deck is also not one that's just going to all of a sudden burst on you and like close you out in 3 turns. So both of them are playing like with the intent of this is going to go a number of plots. The main focus that Night's Watch Conclave is going to have to focus on here is as the game goes longer of not letting through even one Doran's game, because power totals I expect are going to be very low and close from the start, and all it takes is one Doran's game going through about like 4 or 5 plots in, especially now with Ricasso on the board, who's adding more used plots.
Was the danger with Ricasso is that Yorin pops out?
Yes,
the begging brother to almost before anyone can even react. The begging brother's on the table.
Yeah, at this point, Valor Morgulis is definitely an option that Reyes may consider of just removing Ricasso and the threat of him. So, but Begging Brother definitely does clean up any shenanigans of Yorin just hitting the board right now, ripping away Ricasso, and taking away that benefit. The deck can still run without Ricasso, so even if like Reyes decides to just do a Valor Morgulis next turn, it's going to slow Wars down a little bit, but ultimately Wars is still going to be able to get going. Now we do have Big Wall hitting the board on Reyes' side, so he's got the Steel Engine in play. There's just no one in the discard yet. One of the key cards he really wants to see here is going to be Queen's Crown, because that allows him to reveal the top three cards of his opponent's deck and then toss a character away. And that in Big Wall can get really ugly just from variants, because you can start having some big pieces hitting the discard pile, and then all of a sudden they're on the other side. And one card that we're seeing especially is like...
Let me ask you this: does the play of the Big Wall there and no other characters suggest that Valor's coming?
It's possible. The problem is you're like losing Marwyn in the exchange, but you may decide that's worth it. Though actually, we do have Mutiny at Craster's Keep firing here in Dominance. So we had a quick challenge phase, just an intrigue challenge, got initiated, Mirror defended, and so now Begging Brother has swapped sides.
Okay. And did it in Dominance, so using Dominance money, free money.
Yep, and then the wall stands right back up, so the wall is ready to fire again if any characters hit the discard pile.
And did you see that trick in testing, or were you involved in the testing on this at all?
I saw a game or two. The first game ended up going about as poorly as you'd expect for Martell Wars, and yet they still pulled it out. Like, they lost Ricasso, they lost Red Viper to the wall. Again, it only comes down to Night's Watch Conclave isn't a fast deck, so the fear of needing the game to go a long time and then being able to just get that one or two Dorn's game off. Now we actually do have the Valor here, so it's kind of interesting that they did the Begging Brothers deal if they were intending just to Valor.
Right.
Because they could have certainly...
Do you think that was to, like, throw Mira on plot choice?
It's possible to not telegraph it.
Because, like, how would Mira have defended there? If Mira knew for a fact Valor was coming, would you march to protect Ricasso and...
Well, this Martell Wars deck doesn't have any March to the Walls.
Not that kind of deck, right? All right, sorry.
Yeah, so it's like, in terms of any...
that still seems wrong.
Counterplay?
A Martell deck would not have March to the Wall. That's kind of required.
Just the threat of March to the Wall, in my mind, is usually, especially in Wars to Come, having one copy is always good, just because some greedy decks will see no March to the Wall in open deck list and be like, all right, here's my 7-cost character set up solo.
Yep.
Yeah, so... But taking the Begging Brother, it may have been strictly to not telegraph, but...
So a little bit of bad luck of hitting Craven. But
yeah, Craven on the heads on spikes, it's not
ideal.
It's not great. I mean, grabbing 2 power at this point also isn't like a big boon, because keeping power off your house card at this point means if your opponent does start seeing power icons, they're not able to start racing you down. Do have Queen's Crown, though, hitting the board and immediately getting a Host of the Boneway onto the board. Marshalling here wasn't much of anything that happened on Mira's side. Just the Rivergate and ended marshalling. We do have Seized by the Guard, did hit Dorn for...
This is going pretty well for Night's Watch, right?
A full-on bestow. So yeah, with Dorn shut down for many turns to go, that's going to really limit the draw and filter that Mira's going to have to be able to start seeing the pieces they need. And then Queen's Crown's just starting to go to work. We have Queen's Crown hitting Arahota, claiming with the wall. So we're going to start seeing Ray is likely just relying on Queen's Crown wall to be able to start getting pieces stolen from Mira and win the game that way. And one notable thing here is we have both of them were knelt at the end. So like countering with like City Besieged to kneel them is pretty useless on this turn. We are going to see, though, a very brutal hit. We have Fallen from Favor hitting...
Naval coming here?
with the Dorn's Behest, this is an auto flip into naval. Like if you see Fallen from Favor and you have naval and you get to just flip into it, you do it because now you're just limiting your opponent to the gold they're going to get from the economy in play already, which is just going to be 4 gold. It's there's still the King's Road, but that really does limit the play. Now Mira's not going to have a lot of gold either, but Water Gardens on the board does allow to be able to get down locations, get down the attachments, or play any events out. Uh, so we're already at the point where being able to get any non-characters into play for cheap is really going to start paying off. Now we do have marshaled out. We have Maester Gorman, and then we also have Maester Mullen. Maester Gorman is very versatile in Conclave decks because he's able to look at the top card and you treat it just like it's in your hand to either marshal or play it. And then we have Maester Mullen, who you can kneel him, choose a character from the opponent's side. They can't be declared as attacker in that challenge. So there's some stall pieces down, especially stealing the Host of the Boneway, which has Intimidate. So anything that Mira's putting on the board would have to then start answering those pieces. Now from Mira's side, we don't have anything really marshaled. Again, just Rose Road coming down, secret schemes to draw cards, but nothing beyond that. So we just have challenges that are going to start going through, and we do have Glass Candle on Maester Gorman, so he's able to kneel that, look at the top card of the deck, and choose to discard it. It also does give it insight as well. So this is a really strong start so far from Reyes to be able to start just getting challenges through, and these are all coming through unopposed right now, and with Thorn disabled the way it is, that's really hurting Mira's options of being able to start like putting the pieces together. Because if that Siege by the Guard wasn't there,
it's not nothing even clapping back either. So like this feels like Mira's just whiffing on her draw quite a bit.
Yeah, it's either whiffing or like trying to wait and set up. And right now, let's see. I think Reyes does run Isle of Raven. Yeah, if Reyes sees their copy of Isle of Raven, this discard pile is definitely scary at the types of pieces you can start grabbing, because you can use Isle of Raven to put Irahota into play, still Ariane Martel. So there's some there's some annoying pieces. Yeah, so getting the plots.
It didn't cancel a reset, but it did cancel Neil the big locations there, right?
Yeah, and that definitely does hurt because Queen's Crowd's still going to be able to go off. We have the wall as well, and we have them using Queen's Ground, get Quentin Martell into the discard pile. So already, once the wall stands again, we have Quentin Martell, who's very efficient at 3 cost of being able to have Renown and just start going off.
All right.
And then Ariane Martell. We do have an attempt at an indoors name to get money for the number of plots in use pile, and Reyes happens to have the 1x Hand's Judgment to cancel that. The good thing for Mira at this point is, unless they get Isle of Ravens to shuffle that back in, that means Doran's game is now able to start doing work without fear of a cancel. So we actually do start getting characters down the board, but Recruiter for the Watch hitting the board, Maester Aemon's hitting the board, and stealing that Desert Raider, really impactful right now. I guess really the one good thing for Mira right now is Outlet's been burned, so you do have now your resets that you can start pushing through. Maester Aemon, though, can always save one of the characters that's been stolen because the wall makes them Night's Watch.
Sure.
So we'll see if Maester Aemon chooses to possibly essentially allow himself to die to save one of those characters just to hold a piece away from Mira.
Yeah, is Reyes wide enough that VD makes sense first, or you just go straight to Valram here?
So VD, you likely like Host of the Bone Wave might go away, and you keep the Maesters running around.
Yeah, that's not enough, is it?
Because even if you didn't keep anything that was stolen, you could keep Maester Gorman, Maester Mullen, and Maester Eamon. That's 9 gold worth of characters. It's definitely an option. Now, for challenges, we have an Intrigue challenge was done, Reyes defended and won it. Now we have this power challenge going through, and Mira uses Water Gardens to get Prince's plan down to buff the House Dean escort.
Buying some time here, huh?
Yeah, because the power total is really starting to run up. Just getting this 2 claim power challenge where you pretty much acknowledge, hey, we have to start fighting on the board. We can't let you run away and crawl up to like another, like at this point, could likely get up to like 8, 9, 10 power, like in that range, where it's like that starts getting very worrisome. Because if you're just able to keep overloading the board, eventually an oppose is going to keep going through. There's power to claim, and so power tools are very relevant right now.
Did he do the order wrong here on Reyes? Because it seemed like there was an Intimidate he left on the table there that could have.
He did. He's doing this Intrigue at the end, which a little surprising. Though, based on the icons, doesn't really matter.
I think he would have gotten one more unopposed, wouldn't he?
I don't actually think he would have had a way based on what he had standing, because I think he only had Desert Raider, Maester Gorman, and the Host of the Bone Wave to play with at that point, so his sequencing pretty much came out the same, because the Intrigue was going to be blocked.
Okay.
But that's end of plot 4. It's 7-2, and Reyes is definitely got a lot of pieces going in. The discard pile is not great for Mira right now when it comes to wall targets that can start being stolen. We do have Trading with the Bentoshi going into Valor, so Mira's just decided this board needs to be cleaned up. Maester Eamon is going to save. I'm unsure of actually who's being saved. Yeah. Looks like they. Doesn't seem. Oh, okay, Host. There we go. Okay, Host was saved, which with the Intimidate makes sense. Trading with the Bentoshi, though, does help Mira out here, just for giving more resources to be able to work with. Because with 4 plots left, Mira does at some point soon want to actually push to try and get a Doran's game through, assuming that Mira's seen one so far. We're going to have an Indor's name to get more money out, and here comes the Red Viper and Mira's own Host of the Bone Wave, which happens to be 1 strength bigger than the opposing one. Right. So that's definitely going to help on the Intimidate side. We do have Maester Marwyn finally being played out, so he's going to be able to trigger his reaction, get more cards under the Conclave, and then we immediately have Craven coming out from the Conclave onto the Red Viper. So Red Viper's not going to be doing all that much right now, and we do have Mira now down to just 2 cards in hand. We're really witnessing Dorn being disabled, do a lot of work here, because the number of cards Mira would have been able to filter through at this point is amazing. And then we also have Old Bear Bortmont from the Night's Watch box.
It has not a card
that. Yeah, Wall hasn't been used. There's a lot of good targets in there too. Between Quentin Martell, Knights of the Sun, and Ariane Martell, especially since power icons galore, those are all things you don't want to start handing over. Especially since Knights of the Sun are going to have Renown as well, so that's a piece where that means that they're going to be able to close you out a little bit faster, and even BD at this point, like taking Knights of the Sun or Quentin, they could certainly just keep them on the board.
Okay, so even though Viper can't attack.
Hmm.
Still sauce to the spears here.
Yeah, and this is just to start really pushing some kneel down because I'm assuming the game plan here from your side is try and get the uh, possibly like granted with one card, threaten that there's like a Doran's game. It's, I think that's a risk if you're raised, you take at this point because it's not going to knock you out. Uh, and so this is likely just to start forcing Intimidate through, so you can get 2 challenges through with Host of the Boneway, put at least 2 characters down, and then just sit back and block from there. Conversely, we have on the Marshall side, we do have Three Finger Hob came down, so that's going to just help raise further draw into the pieces they want. We do have block happen from Hob and Marwyn, so they won by 4 in case there was the Doran's game. But that also allowed Mira to get essentially this whole board just knelt out.
Yeah, you'll take
And
that.
then,
You'll take that if you're Mira, right?
yeah, and even this military challenge is getting knelt down. The good thing is, it did allow Mira to buy back in Prince's plan, so that's now back in hand. And we have the wall being knelt to
Nope.
then.
That's actually the Old Bear Mormont trigger.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah, Old Bear Mormont. Oh, that's even worse, because then the wall can also always steal Quentin Martell. We do have a Desert Raider trigger to strip the power icon. So right now, that's really good. Ooh, interesting. So on the
Is
wall trigger,
there?
we have
Yeah.
Ariane Martell handed over instead of Quentin. Now we do have Prince's plan in hand, so even on this block, we could see Mira Waters Garden to just win the challenge.
Wanted to save it, I guess, huh? Well, but you can always kind of get
Yeah,
it back, right?
yeah,
I mean, we're just playing. Yeah, could have done it with Water Gardens, right?
yeah. We do have though that draw from Ariane, just giving again raise more pieces. So in the draw decks alone, like Mira's at 31 cards, which is still a lot for a Wars deck, especially one that set up Dorn at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, which again, Seized by the Guard doing all the work this game right now. And then we have Reyes, who's down to 26 and just found Three Finger Hob. So between Conclave, being able to put more cards on, and then Marwyn stuffing, we're about to really reach the point where Reyes is going to have all the tools at their disposal from their deck. And so that's what Mira's going to have to start responding to. So, challenge is completed. Mira won dominance. We're 8-3 in Reyes' favor. I could certainly see the high risk coming on Mira's board to try and clean this up, and that's another case where we didn't see the wall trigger here. So Quentin Martell is just sitting in the discard pile, and I'm sure Reyes is going to be snapping him up soon enough. So we have Palace of Sorrows into Valor to Hyris. So everyone's going to be 3 strength. This does really neuter the options of Prince's plan to be able to get over top, and especially size of the boards alone. Granted, we're going to have to get through to Hyris, but if Reyes is able to keep a bigger board down, that allows him to just swarm and really push against Mira being able to do much. And going first with Host of the Boneway, if Reyes holds on to that piece, Intimidate is also there.
Yeah. You're putting Red Viper at the bottom of the deck here, right? To clear the Craven?
Yep, Viper is absolutely going to hit the bottom, so we'll see what's out. So yeah, Host of the Boneway is kept on both sides. Knights of the Sun is also kept since there's a power there, so everything else is getting bottomed. And So it's interesting what's in Reyes' hand that might tell us. So wondering if they have like Three Finger Hob still there to be able to get that played out.
Mm-hmm.
We do have Queen's Crowd triggering to put another Knights of the Sun. So again, these are the pieces that Mir really does not want to be losing right now, because that's a whole lot of renown that can be just handed over. And
Shorten the game. Yep.
yeah, especially at 8 power right now, being able to go first.
Yep. It should have
And
been
Mira
nicely
has
done.
no power icons right now. So Seized by the Guard will fall off after this turn.
Yep.
But we're also, like, Reyes is about to cycle plots, and Mira only has 3 more to go. And without having like a Ricasso, Mira's very much in a point where a Dorn's game needs to go through much sooner than later to be able to have a chance to be able to stay in this game, because we have Reyes is really putting the pressure on with this board. Quentin Martell, more renown, and then Mr. Moamir is able to answer Water Gardens, and then Three Finger Hop back on the table to again be able to draw. We do have Mirror Digging though,
Yep.
with Secret Schemes getting 6 more Tangle to work with, so there's still a lot of pieces,
Stuff
and
to put out here.
this is definitely where you need to start being able to respond. So like even drawn into like Red Viper again here would be something where being able to get a big body. We have instead Dawn hitting the board,
Instead of
Desert
that
Raider,
Marcella.
and Marcella. Yep. Marcella is very good right now in this matchup because there's no kings on either side, so she can defend the power challenge without kneeling and also gains renown. So that's really key right now. The problem is Reyes' board is still got 2 sources of renown. It has Intimidate, so just by the numbers, it can really force down the options available from Mira. Now we do have Prince's Plan in
Give you
Mira's
some
hand, so
icons. Yeah.
yeah, it's useless right now in terms of the strength buff, but giving icons is really the best thing it can
Need to
do.
play 2 though, right?
Depending on the challenges to defend. We do have Reyes just pushing in the power challenge with the 2 renown bodies, so Quentin and Knights of the Sun both gain a
Yeah, but
power,
say
get the claim.
with Palace of the Sorrows played, it's just a numbers game, and the attackers
Yeah.
will win the ties. So
Yep. Yeah.
she'd had 2 in hand. Maybe you could get in there and win this, but
Yeah, the problem with even 2 in hand is Water Gardens is not going to help you, because the moment you trigger Water Gardens,
yeah,
that
Momir.
Milomir is immediately going to kneel in response.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
So that's not
honestly, at this
happening.
point,
Yeah.
uh, which is something you
You might bluff here,
may
right?
it's something you definitely want to consider. We do have Intrigue coming in for 6 now, and then Glass Candle Trigger as well to look at the top card of Mirror's deck, see if they want to discard it.
Yeah, it's this thing with Glass Candle on Mirror Mirror. Reyes actually kind of wants to do a challenge, doesn't he? Or he already
I,
did. Yeah.
I mean, the Glass Candle for the insight portion, it's
Yeah.
like ideally you would like it. However, based on how the icons have really gone through, it's more of a do you want to keep them up for defense or not? And we actually have Water Gardens triggered. It does not get canceled, so Reyes is definitely keeping Miramir up to prevent this Doran's game getting through, because they're trying to just hold it off for as long as they can. But we have goes through, and To the Spears is also played as well, so the board's not going to kneel, so they're going to lose 1 to Intimidate. The Torrens game discard. So we do have 2 River Gates, so if Mira doesn't have a second already,
I mean, didn't you
Mira
kind
can
of want
actually.
Prince's Plan to be in your hand during the Intrigue Challenge? You want that to be the thing that gets hit, kind of, right?
Oh well, Mir bought it back for $1, so it was
No, I
back
just
in
mean it would
hand.
have been some protection for Doran's game. Or am I
Well,
not? Yeah.
Mir played it and then was able to buy it back before the
Oh,
coin.
before it even happened. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So it was going to be in hand either way.
Got it.
So it
Got it.
worked out. Now we do have challenges passed. We have To the Spears paying off, so pushing through the military, doing the intimidate, and then in
Kill the
comes the
host.
intrigue challenge.
Is that interesting?
Yeah, killing the host there is a little shocking. We have Genos Slit coming out of the shadows and just sacking Mjolnir, getting him out of the way. So we're having a 6-3 win. I think that pretty much states that Mir did have another Dorn's game in hand.
I like
We
that
do
hit.
see Yorin
Yeah.
discarded though. That's definitely something you love to see there. We have Prince's Plan though being used again to give a power icon because again these power totals are very concerning right now if you're Mira. Uh, Dom though is going to go to Reyes, so it's going to be still 3 power away with 2 renown sources is a concern, and the only character left in discard is another Knights of the Sun, which is another renowned body. So this is definitely concerning right now. From Mira's point, because even one Doran's game with 6 use spots right now would have only put you up to 11 power.
Okay, well, we know what this last plot is, right? Let's see here.
Yeah, just March to the Wall, which
Valor.
goes. No,
No,
Valor
marched.
already happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
marched.
yeah. So we have March though into Win Die,
I'm always
and
wrong.
not having that, not having that King's Road to be able to tie initiative here is definitely big for Mira's side. So being able to go first, Host of the Bone Waves live again, and this time with full strength. Dawn is flexing, but we do have the Desolator marched, and then we have Clinton Martell also marched. So interesting they chose Clinton Martell because that loses them a power. And then we have Queen's Crown here to put a Green Blood Trader in. The discard pile's now got targets that Mira can hand over without feeling awful about. Like,
Still a Knights there, right?
well,
Yeah.
at this point, Green Blood
Oh, but
Trader
it's turned
or
off, right? Yeah.
Desert Raider can immediately just be handed over. Like, Green Blood Trader
And
isn't
Seized
ideal
by
to
the
hand
Guard
over.
is gone.
It's definitely gone. So even after all is said and done, assuming we're still going, we'll have 2 cards that can be kept in hand. We have Red Viper hitting the board, duplicate Dawn on the Viper, and another Host of the Bone Way. So Mira is out for closing this game right now. And honestly, I think if a crackback happens, the game's out of reach at that point. But with 2 sources of Intimidate, yeah, the biggest concern at this point would be a Craven. We do have Reyes playing Guarding the Realm to get Green Blood Trader, so that seems to indicate that's just digging for that piece, that one more piece to be able to stop
Would that be Craven?
both the Viper and that through. Oh, we have a second Guarding the Realm, so that then clears up the garbage in the discard pile, getting the Desert Raiders. So now the wall is able to get either Clinton Martell or Knights of the Sun. I very much expect Mirror to hand Knights of the Sun just because it's 1 strength less. And even then, that's still not enough of what Reyes wants to see here. We do have King's Road. I wonder if we'll have a Yorin. Nope, we have Ghost. Definitely an interesting choice for the deck. He has Stealth, and normally he's solid on like an aggressive deck.
No.
Oh, and we have Seized by the Guard.
Oh no! That was mean. That was just mean.
2 copies of Seized by the Guard, and it's loading up again, so Oh, that means just one card is going to be kept, but at this point, I think Mira's out between the Viper and hopefully a Doran's game to be able to get this game right here, especially with 2 claim. So,
Yeah.
not having a Craven really hurts Reyes here because that red Viper is going to be able to do some work. And if all it takes is one Doran's game, and Mira's got the strength to push it all through. We'll see how the sequencing happens here. So just straight up intrigue for 36.
Okay.
So it's Mira's out to get this Doran's game through, so it has to be in hand at this point.
does a Hand's Judgment save Reyes here?
The one copy of Hand's Judgment is in the discard pile.
There was just one.
There's just one. So that's why having it
come out
get
early
used,
like that was okay.
Yeah, because at that point, all you fear is the Owl of Ravens to be able to put it back in. Otherwise, every Doran's game is just going to get pushed through. 36 strength. I'm assuming Mira's done the math that between Viper Trigger and a Doran's game, this would do it. So Doran's game, we have 7 used plots. That would go up to 12. And then Viper would just need to win the challenge by 15 strength. And Viper gets the 3 power you need for the closeout.
Can Reyes get
so
to
yeah,
21?
I'm not seeing it.
There's no intrigue I got in the discard pile.
Yeah, and if
we may sit here
if
a while.
Been more strength, like sequencing Hosted Bone, we could have done like a military to then force down an intrigue icon if you were so concerned. But since they're both 11 strength and then the Viper himself at 14th strength,
yeah,
the sequencing doesn't improve your math. It actually makes it worse if you were to lead off. So yeah, this is likely the game here because I don't see any way Mira's making this play without a Doran's game. Because you're giving up way too much on a swingback if you don't have it. So defend for 2, that's pretty much just the cursory, like, if you've got it, you've got it. Though, blocking with 2 defenders like that is, especially with Intimidate, assuming you could even, like, survive this challenge. But instead, we have 6 power on the Viper, 7 from Doran's game, Mira pull 18 to 11. And that
was scary. That was scary.
Yeah, that game from what, it was like about plot 2 to here was Reyes just really dominating. So this is just again showing the power of Martell Wars. Of again, it just takes one challenge, one Doran's game, and all of a sudden the game's flipped.
Yeah. Mira was pretty confident coming into this game.
Yeah, no, and like I said, in some of the test games, like everything that you could imagine going wrong went wrong, and still was able to win. And that's really what we saw here as well. Though I'm not sure any of the test games went necessarily as bad as this one, where Night's Watch Conclave was able to just run up the score essentially, and really be threatening the win. But yeah, it ultimately knowing the outwit was out of the way and being able to get the resets is what really helped a lot. Because if Mira had gone for either Valor and gotten outwitted, I think that would have ended the game. But all in all,
yeah. Even though the outwit ended up hitting that plot, so what?
Yeah. Yeah, but all in all, that's a very solid game, and that puts US to 4-1. So that just means one more game out of the remaining 4 needs to be a win for US to clinch the round. And there's still quite a number of heavy hitters to come, like Alex Black and Alejandro still have games to come. We have Dustin Archer and then Robert Mixer. So I find it very hard to believe that there's not going to be one win out of those 4 games remaining.
So you're saying you'd rather be Team USA at this point?
I think any team would rather be 4-1 no matter what matchups were left. Even if they were all bad at that point, you're just like, whatever. We just need to get one. But just like outside of even deck matchups, like just player skill, like those are not to like knock anyone on the Czech Republic side, but like there's definitely a good resume backing those players. So you imagine at least one of them's going to be able to get a win and clinch the round. But yeah.
All right, we are looking at 4 matches tomorrow. It's gonna be a busy day.
Yeah, it's been a busy day. We'll be, especially since I think a lot of them are almost close to like back to
Am I
back as
counting wrong?
well.
Is it 4 or is it 3? Okay, we've got an 11 a.m., we've got a 1 p.m.,
Yeah,
we got a 12 p.m.
yeah, Alejandro's Sunday, so yeah, we got 3 tomorrow and then the last one on Sunday.
3 tomorrow. Okay, great. Thanks for
All right.
joining us once again, Tom. All right, great. Thank you.